Companies House now wants you to submit your ID and a video of yourself to them, and if you don't comply, they might just close down your company. It might sound extreme, but this is a real problem lots of businesses I've spoken to have faced, because from the 18th of November 2025, ID checks became compulsory for every director and people with significant control. In this video, I'm going to explain what this means for you and what to do, why it's happening, and the serious consequences of not complying, plus how this all ties into a bigger shift towards digital surveillance of businesses and individuals. So, what exactly are these checks? Well, from November 2025, every company director and every person with significant control is going to have to complete a brand new identity verification process. And this isn't a quick passport upload. Companies House wants your ID and a live video of you recorded through their approved app or an authorised agent. Existing companies will be expected to do this too, not just new ones. So, if you're already a director, you still have to do it. If you're a PSC, you still have to do it. And if you don't, your company is labelled non-compliant, and that's where the trouble starts. Officially, it's all about fraud prevention. Companies House want to stop fake directors, shell companies, and phoenixing schemes, which in theory sounds perfectly reasonable. But in practice, it means every business owner is now required to hand over biometric identity data to Companies House. And I don't know about you, but to me, that's pretty scary when you consider the wider implications of where this could lead. What's essentially happened is a tiny handful of people abusing the system have actually now created a massive burden for the millions of legitimate small business owners who were never actually doing anything wrong in the first place. This is the single biggest shake-up to the Companies Act in decades, and it changes what it means to run a company in the UK. And just to be clear, I've been working as an accountant with UK small businesses for over 15 years, and I've never seen Companies House introduce changes that are this intrusive, this sudden, or with consequences this severe. And if you miss the deadline, ignore the emails, or simply refuse to do the checks, while Companies House can just strike your company off the register. And yeah, that means exactly what it sounds like. Your company can be closed down, dissolved, and removed from the Companies House database, even if you're still trading. Coming across lots of people that have had that happen to them and they're not even aware of it. If your company is struck off while it still holds assets, so that's things like money, stock, property, vehicles, those assets don't go back to you. They go to the Crown under something called bona vacantia. In other words, you lose them. I actually spoke to a director just yesterday who wanted help getting his filings up to date because he was panicking about potential penalties. So I had a look on Companies House for him, and there were no penalties because there was no company. He'd already been struck off and he didn't even know it, all because he hadn't filed his annual confirmation statement, something as small as that costs you a nominal amount to file. He'd not filed it, and he was using an old address that he never updated. I mean, how often does that happen? It's so common. If Companies House can't reach you, then they just assume the company isn't active and they act accordingly. Now, before you start panicking, don't. I've worked with thousands of small businesses over the last 15 plus years, and the thing I hear time and again is that people struggle to know what they need to do and when. And most of this is actually pretty straightforward to stay on top of once you've got the right guidance and information. And that's basically why I make these videos, to make the whole thing clearer, simpler, and a lot less stressful. So enough doom and gloom. Let me walk you through exactly how to complete the new ID checks and what you need to do step by step so that you can protect your business. Now, in our accountancy practice, we've already helped dozens of clients complete these checks really smoothly. So here's the simplest way to get it done without making a mistake. So you're going to have two options depending on how you run your business. So that's two options. Now, the first option you verify yourself through the Companies House app. This is the route that probably most directors are going to take. You'll download the Companies House identity verification app. Got to get my teeth in to say that. Their official one is the gov.uk one login. So there are a couple around. That's the one you need. And follow the steps inside it. Now you'll be asked to scan your passport or driving licence, record a short live video of yourself, confirm your date of birth and your residential address. Companies House will then match your face to your ID using their facial recognition software. Once you pass, you'll be emailed an 11-digit personal code which you'll need for future filings, and your company then remains compliant. But make sure you save this code somewhere you'll remember. Not somewhere safe. If you're like me and you put it somewhere so safe, you usually forget where you put it. So put it somewhere that you know you'll remember where it is. Then we've got option 2, to go through an authorised agent. If you use an accountant or a company formation agent, they can verify you instead, but only if they're officially approved by Companies House. They'll run their own checks on your ID and confirm your identity to Companies House on your behalf. Now, it can be quicker, especially if you already use them for filings, but you might be charged a fee for it, particularly if your accountant's doing it. Once you're verified, Companies House will link your real identity then to every company you're connected to, whether that's as a director, a shareholder, or a PSC, which is a person with significant control. Once you've jumped through these new hoops and verified your identity, you'd think that would be the end of it, wouldn't you? But unfortunately, it's not, because just as Companies House is tightening their rules, they're also tightening their grip on your wallet. From February 2026, the costs of running a company are going up yet again. And when you see what they're increasing by and by how much, it really starts to feel like, as a small business, you're getting squeezed from every direction. Now, if you're finding this useful, save yourself unnecessary headaches and hit subscribe. Unlike Companies House, it's free. These changes are coming in thick and fast, and we're breaking them down in real time for you. Now, I mentioned the price rises a moment ago, and yes, Companies House are increasing almost every fee they charge again. And some of these changes aren't small adjustments, they're huge jumps. Here are just a few of the kind of main headline changes for you. So company and corporation, for example, the fee rises from £50, which is what it is at the moment, to £100. That's a 100% increase. For your annual confirmation statement, the fee increases from £34 to £50. But don't worry, Companies House, being as generous as they are, have kindly decreased the digital fee of closing your company from £33 to £13. How weird is that? It's almost like they want you to shut up shop. Now, the official reason is that these increased fees will help fund the expanded role of Companies House under the, wait for this, Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act 2023, ECCTAA, with more identity checks, more enforcement and better digital systems. But for a one-person company, a startup or a small business that only files once a year, these increases are a new fixed cost. And by the way, don't worry, if you want help completing your ID check or preparing for the fee changes, we've got you. There's a link below to book a free call with our team. We're helping businesses get in front of this right now. So what does all of this actually mean if you run a small business? Well, most small business owners and one-person companies are already dealing with rising costs across the board. You've got higher energy bills, higher wages, higher materials, higher tax. And now, on top of all that, you're expected to complete mandatory ID checks and pay higher Companies House fees just to keep your business legally registered. Larger companies are not going to care. They've got compliance teams, finance departments, cash flow. They've got the money to pay for this and a contingency fund for it. But if you're running a limited company on your own, or you're juggling a business alongside your job or family, like most of the small businesses I work with actually, it does concern me, because these new rules are just another administrative burden you've got to absorb. And it's not just about the time or the cost of it. It's the principle behind it. For years, small businesses have been encouraged to incorporate. They've always been told it was the best route for tax efficiency, limited liability, and professional credibility. But now it feels like the government is just quietly shifting the goalposts, something they're really good at. There's more hoops to jump through, more data to give up, more checks, more fees, all aimed at the people least able to absorb the pressure. And the way these changes have been introduced, they've been brought in really quietly in stages, and paired with the rising compliance costs, it should make every business owner pause for a moment. It does make you wonder, is this simply compliance, or is there a deeper agenda? Well, it does me anyway, and that's what this bit is about, because it isn't just a Companies House update. It seems to be part of a much bigger shift towards digital identity and tracking. Now, I want to take a step back, because these new Companies House ID checks don't exist in a vacuum. On their own, they just look like another pain in the backside admin requirement, which is what they are. But when you put them alongside the rising fees, the new verification systems, and increased enforcement, it's clear they're part of a much wider shift. And I do feel there's something important to say, which is digital ID isn't automatically a bad thing. Not in my opinion anyway. In many countries, it actually makes life easier. There's fewer passwords, there's fewer forms, there's fewer hoops to jump through. For most of the people I work with, though, who are just straightforward, honest business owners, it could eventually become something that you set up once and then you barely think about again. But the real question isn't actually whether digital identity exists, it's how the governments choose to use it. That's where the risk and responsibility lie, because once a system like this is in place, it tends to grow. Today, it applies to directors. Tomorrow, it might apply to landlords or certain types of employees. And further down the line, it could become part of day-to-day life for everybody. Again, I'm not about predicting doom or saying that's all happening tomorrow. It's simply recognizing that these Companies House changes are an early sign of the direction we're heading in. And it's always, in my opinion, better to understand the path and be surprised by it. And when it comes to Companies House specifically, this isn't just about losing control. It's about staying ahead of the changes instead of feeling like they're happening to you. So given all that's already happened and is still due to come into effect, here's exactly what you need to do this week. Step 1, verify early. It shouldn't take you more than 5 to 10 minutes. Go to gov.uk, verify your identity, use one login, have your passport or license ready. If you're a director or PSC, connect your verified identity to each role with your Companies House personal code when prompted. And a pro tip, if you can, do your fellow directors too. Herding cats beats paying penalties any day. Step 2, check your registered office. Is it an appropriate address? Not a PO box, for example, where your post is received and acknowledged. If not, switch today. Use your accountant or a compliance service if you can't or don't want to use your own, with permission, of course. Just make sure somebody there actually opens the post. Step 3, sanity check your filings. Compare your Companies House record to reality. Are the directors, PSCs, SIC code, registered emails, statement dates, are they all correct? If anything looks off, correct it before it triggers queries, or worse, because they're actively challenging suspicious stuff now. Step 4, use reputable helpers only. If you use an agent, make sure they're an authorised corporate service provider, an ACSP, in the UK and within the AML anti-money laundering regime. At the end of the day, Companies House is no longer just a filing cabinet, and these ID checks aren't something you can ignore. They're mandatory, they carry real consequences, and they mark the start of a very different landscape for small business owners in the UK. But digital identity doesn't have to be scary, not if you understand what's happening. So take 10 minutes this week, verify early before your next confirmation statement, fix your registered office, and check your filings. The best thing you can do is stay informed, stay compliant, and stay aware of the bigger picture so you're ready for whatever comes next.